day? Oh, I'm having a fantastic day. My best friend just had her baby yesterday. I went to the hospital this morning and I saw the little bundle of joy and I'm excited, okay? Um Before we begin, please don't forget to like this video, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I want to talk to y'all, okay? I really want to talk to y'all about something that I've been thinking about for a little while now. And I guess it got really, um, it started hitting me more these last couple of days, okay? I guess it has a lot to do with what happened in Georgia, but like just historically, okay? I titled this video something along the lines, I can't remember right now, of, they're plotting on Asians. And, okay, go with me here, y'all. I don't really think it is too much to do, especially for the people who matter. We're not talking about the poor white people who, we're not talking about them. I'm talking about the people who matter, the people who, can be able to afford to for Orangina and any of the people in his administration to listen to, the people that they associate with, right? I don't know about this whole Mexican thing. Yeah, the Mexicans are here, the Hispanics are here, but like the Hispanics kind of are from here, especially, that whole California region. I ain't got time to teach y'all history if y'all don't know history. But I was thinking the other day and I started really, really contemplating about it. And I think the Asians got set the fuck up with, especially with what's been going on lately, the whole thing with affirmative action that happened here in the United States a couple of years ago. Um, I think that was a chess piece. I think that was a chess piece to create a situation for when they come for the Asians, no one cares. Okay? Follow me here. If you don't know anything about, okay, fine. I'll tell you a little bit about history. I've been saying, and again, if you know anything, that they don't really F with them, right? We know that they initially attempted to bring them here so, they wouldn't have to pay us to do certain things, right? So they could work on the railroads. So they were coming for the gold rush. They had a whole thing that they tried to do even before they threw them in at concentration camps, right? We like to sometimes start with the concentration camps that happened in the 30s and the 40s, but we seem to forget the history of it all, right? I always say the history of Asia, I don't understand why people would think they fuck with us, right? I don't understand why people would think they fuck with us. They had a whole Asian exclusion act, right? If y'all don't remember it, it was like in the 1880s, okay? You had to really be paying attention in school. It was like in the 1880s, around there. They had a whole Asian exclusion act, aka they was gonna send them back where they came from, right? But something when something happened. I don't really remember because I'm not an encyclopedia right now. That they were able to keep that they kept them here, right? Cool. Then they had the whole concentration camp fiasco, right? Cool. Then they were going to send them back in the 1940s. They literally have been trying to create a situation where they ship their asses back to China. See, the problem is, they see America, like a lot of people see America, as a white country. Cool. A white country, and, a white and black country, really, because they can't send our black asses nowhere. Right? We've been here for forever. The Mexicans, even though they don't really fuck with them or like them, for the most part, the Mexicans have low paid jobs, right? The Mexicans have low paid jobs, and it really doesn't matter They starting with them, they doing shit to them. But again, I don't really think they are the main target when they say they want to get rid of these minorities. When they're talking about, like, right now, they're creating a situation where they can't even come and work here without paying $100,000. Right? That's not for the Mexicans. People like to say, oh, it's to keep the Indians out, right? It's to keep the Indians out. I really believe strongly and truly it's to keep the Asians out. They created the Asians, for the most part, don't get into the mess, right? Unlike us sometimes, unlike the Hispanics sometimes, the Asians don't necessarily get into the mess like that, right? They mind their business. They over there in their little sector doing their own little thing for the most part. They doing businesses. They starting businesses. They getting highly educated. We already know that there was a class action lawsuit probably like 2 or 3 years ago from a bunch of Asian people. This is not a affirmative action, but basically because they weren't getting jobs, high ranking jobs in like the FBI or whatever, because they have a thing, and their thing is that the Asians are always it doesn't matter if they're first generation, if they're eighth generation here, they are Asian. They know if they're Chinese, Korean, Japanese, whatever, and they are always associated with their country, right? When we hear about espionage, right, for the most part, a lot of the times it's Asian people, right? I'm not saying that they're not American. I'm not saying none of that. Okay, I'm not saying none of that. As a Black American, I ain't saying none of that. I'm saying the thoughts of the Caucasians, okay? I'm talking about the thoughts of the Caucasians, okay? There was a whole class action lawsuit because they couldn't be, you haven't really ever seen a director of whatever in the United States really be Asian. Not like that. Not the director of the FBI or the director of this or director of that. No, they keep that shit separate from them because they feel like they are not or cannot fully I was gonna say the wrong word, and then the right word came to me and then it went away. Whatever. They don't fully enmesh into our communities, right? Regardless of how much that they try to be a part of the Caucasian community. You see, the thing is, they don't see us. They as in the Caucasians people. They don't see us. They think we are, low educated. We ain't got the common sense and all of this shit. They don't really see us as a threat, a lot of them, right? But they see the Asian as a threat. And I said it the other day, right? I said when I was talking about that, when I really thought about it and found out that the white people are literally only 8% of the population. The only other white people on this planet are Asian people. And they're far from just being 8% of the fucking population. They're a huge part of the population. They're a huge part of the demographics of the people who are really taking the jobs, right? Remember, because it's all about they're taking our jobs. They're they are the real part of the demographics of the people who are taking their jobs, right? It's not the Mexicans. It's not the people in Central and South America. A lot of them, they come in here and doing manual labor. And these people don't want to do no fucking manual labor. Historically, they can't do manual labor. So that ain't really the jobs that they talking about. Right? Or am I bugging? And the gas of it all, and I think the most mind fuck of it all, is that they have a lot of them not comprehending that they mean you too. It just started to hit them when what happened at the Hyundai plant and how that white woman doubled and tripled down on what she said and what she felt, and how there was no difference between how the ICE agents treated them and how the ICE agents treated the Hispanics who were there. They are literally over there in Korea, all over the Asian countries, talking about their experiences that they went through here. and making people fully comprehend. They don't see, just because y'all both white, for the most part, you know what I'm saying, you aren't no different. And matter of fact, it's worse for you. Y'all get what I'm saying? Like, and I really feel like, and I said this when the affirmative action thing happened, you know, like they got them gassed up and confused because they sitting up and did all of this with affirmative action being pushed by the right wing, being pushed by the right wing, right? Push the right wing to do, to do this. Like we are in their way. Like we are not a massive part of Ivy League and taking up a big percentage, right? My daughter y'all know we in New York. My daughter goes to one of the best top 10 schools in New York. Okay. We don't get into the schools, but in the top 10 schools in New York, majority of those kids are Asian. Majority of those children who go to the top 10 schools are Asian. And those are and they I don't think that they fully comprehend. I don't think that they fully comprehend that when they're saying y'all taking our places, and the hate and resentment they have includes you too. Includes you more. You as Asian American. Includes you more. Because you're the one taking their tech jobs. You're the ones, we're going, like I said, my daughter's school, there's probably like 8 black kids in her grade. Majority of the kids there are Asian. Majority of the kids at these Ivy League schools, if their parents aren't, well funded, are Asians. It's going to be a situation. I'm telling you, they're gonna pull an affirmative action on the Asians, the white people. They're going to use every fucking thing that they told them to use to try to get the little 20 or 30 kids who get into whatever, black kids that get into what decent Ivy League school, against them to make sure they asses don't get in. And then to get them up out of here. Trying to play, and I guess because the Asians don't really do too much, possibly because they know how this country get down, especially a lot of them who've been here for a while, and they have to figure out a way to get them up out of here, and it be and the masses will look at it as, okay, we understand. Because no one cares about honestly, no one cares. No one who matters. No Vance, none of the people who have money, who really, sent money to the inauguration or the Trump campaign, any of those people, none of those people's children are in competition with Mexicans. None of those people's children or anybody that they know is out here trying to pick fucking apples and shit. But they are competing to get into these good schools, to get those great jobs in tech or in medicine or whatever with Asian people. We're not even, for the most part, and it's sad, and I think we need to, our percentages need to go up, but this ain't about us. But for the most part, we're not in this fight. We're not in the Peter, what's his name? Peter Tills of it all. We're, for the most part, we're not the people they're competing against for or their kids or their nieces and nephews or whatever. We're not the people they're competing with for these med school positions, for these positions in the, in finance, for these positions that, they're not competing with us. They're competing with them. That's why they tried to put them out of here they've been trying to get them out of here from 1882. It was 82. It was 82. It was 1882, the Asian Exclusion Act. It was 1882. Before I said it was the whatever. I got the decade. At least I got the decade right. They've been trying, and they kept trying to get them out of here. The last time they really tried to push it was in the 40s. And the only reason they stopped that shit in the 40s was because they wanted to be, because, after World War II ended and yada, 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 it would have looked crazy for America to had put them out, right? This is fucking history. It would have looked crazy for America to put them out, especially during that time. That's when the UN was being put together. How you gonna be putting out a whole sect of people and you want to call yourself the good Western world? It would have looked crazy. Plus, on top, this is where we come in. This is where we come in, and why, again, affirmative action. And they knew because what was happening in this country, that the civil rights movement was coming in a couple years, in a good 10. Because everything didn't just happen right then. It was a buildup. They knew that shit was coming. So you put all the Asians out, knowing that 10 years later, even though you've been trying to do it for the last, 80 years? 80 years at that point. So they just said, fuck it. Cool. And now we have gotten to a place where higher education, which, isn't a real problem. Well, it is what it is. Higher education they are in the majority. And that's the real competition. They don't care about Bubba in some shithole town. They don't care about Bubba in some shithole town. They care about the kid. They care about the Trump supporter or the Orangina supporter who makes enough money to donate to the campaign. They care about who his kids are competing with, right? They care about who the people that they know, the people that they even acknowledge that, are a little bit human to them, because the poor people ain't it. It's the real middle and upper class Americans, white Americans, to be specific, who they are competing with. And that ain't the fucking Mexicans. It ain't the fucking Mexicans. And the setup of all times was because the only people, really and truly, the only people who could save anybody here, any minority here, is us. Because we're the only people besides the white people who are safe from deportation in this country. We're the only people. That's why the civil rights movement had to be backed. It couldn't be backed by anybody else. It couldn't have happened for any other race of people. So how do you get a situation where we are the ones that keeps everyone here? And agents for the most part don't bother nobody. So how the fuck do you get rid of them? You set them up to create a situation, because the Mexicans don't do nothing, like what the fuck? Yeah. But you create a situation where all black people, whether your children are looking for those type of jobs or whatever, or going to be looking at you crazy when you try, when they turn on, when the Caucasians turn on you and start treating the Asians the way, and rounding them up and doing what the fuck they doing the way they doing the Mexicans. Back in America, we've been minding our business. But if we're gonna keep it a buck, if we're gonna be honest, if we're gonna be honest for real, we would more likely do something to help the Hispanics than the Asians. No shade, just tea. No shade, just tea. Really, because y'all don't fuck with us, we don't fuck with you. But also, look at what y'all did with the whole affirmative action shit. Am I bugging? Am I bugging? I really feel like, I said they gonna let the Mexicans back up in here to start picking shit, whatever. But whatever. But the real goal, especially for the Stephen Millers of the world, the upper middle class, to, you know, them people, is the Asians who are in their schools competing with them. You think they're thinking just because they're racist too, that they're not racist against you. It's hysterical. You can be as white and light as you want to be. Them Koreans are real light on purpose. And they dragged their asses up out of there, chained them up like dogs, and was feeding them moldy fucking food just like they did a fucking Nicaraguan, a Mexican, a Cuban. They didn't give a flying fuck. They didn't care. Your whiteness meant nothing to the white people. I don't know. What do y'all think? Tell me if y'all think I'm bugging. Tell me if y'all think I'm reaching. I don't think I'm reaching. Let me look at some of these comments. Hello, Mahogany. Getting from them. Okay. Um. Your loyalty will always be to Asia. Janelle said, the loyalty will always be to Asia, just like my loyalty will always be to black people globally. Yeah. But see, the thing is, and I've said this, I said this when all the crazy shit was happening. The only safe Fed is a black Fed. The only safe Secret Service is a black Secret Service, because we will put the duty of our country even in front of our own fucking race. Period. End of story. We would. That's why the first person to die in a civil war in this country was a black person. We will put loyalty to country in front of our race. And maybe that's because a lot of us can't trace our way back. Whatever it is, that's not the point. The Asians can. I'm just, or maybe it's just the white people jealous of the other white people. I don't know what it is. But all I know, and I've been saying this for a while, but from the Asian perspective, like, you know, when they over there, like, I don't know why y'all would think that they fuck with us. You know, for the most part, Asia, like, I don't know why y'all would think. To me, Asia been fighting so long, and they got to a point where that they were just like, you know what, y'all want to play capitalism? Let me show you how you pay capitalism. And ever since then, they've been drop kicking our asses. But the ones they got here been drop kicking these white people asses. Drop kicking their asses. Okay. And weave that shit all day. She said when it comes to racism, Asians bob and weave that shit all day. But it don't mean, and I think that's what's gonna allow them to get blindsided by it. The fact that the fact that Korea was blindsided by what the fuck happened, you know, even the ones that are here, you know, they're getting that Caucasian education, and a lot of them don't know the history, and a lot of them are. It doesn't matter how whitewashed you are, you're not white, and you may not fully comprehend the history of this country. A lot of them don't fully even understand the whole model minority shit. They don't get it. That's why their minds are fucking blown by what happened in Hyundai. That's why them thinking that they can even do that here, especially in the South. Hold on. Why them even thinking they can do that here? It's fucking bananas. When you don't know your history, you are, I can't get the word, you will repeat it. And like I said, they have been actively trying to boot their asses out of here since 1882. Since 1882. They don't care if you went to the cute pre-K with their kids and your dad works in tech and they don't care. You been here and building, your people been here and building railroads. They don't care. I ain't gonna be here long. I just wanted to say that. Like I said, I was just she said, somebody said Koreans are naturally white and they work to stay that way. But again, that's a story, that's a deeper dive. I don't want to get into a deep dive, but the the illusion of inclusion, real shit. We say that about, you know, being black and wanting to live in the suburbs or whatever. FYI, y'all need to get y'all asses out the suburbs before this shit really pop. Okay, the safest place y'all asses can be is in the hood. And y'all other ones probably need to get your white kids out of the hood. I'm just saying. Okay. All right. She said, I haven't seen one marched by Asians yet, and that's what's gonna fuck them. That's my point. That's my point. They thinking they're not. It, I think it may start clicking, especially what happened in North Korea. But a lot of them gonna be like, oh no, we've been here. Y'all too. Y'all not even two. Y'all especially. Y'all especially. Cause they not talking about picking fucking them jobs where the Mexicans is picking. That's just how they started. They not talking about construction jobs and all of this shit, manual labor jobs. They don't want them jobs. They ain't even really talking about, they talking about the Indians, but it's gonna go, the Indians is just one step closer to them bamming you with what they really talking about. They're talking about they gonna reenact that Asian Inclusion Act from 1882 any fucking year now. Watch. I don't give it a year. I don't give it a year before Orangina is talking about, before we start hearing that fucking that act coming back up. Because like I said, the only safe people in this fucking country whether you call it safe or not safe, whatever, are white people and black people. Everybody in between is not safe. When they brought y'all over here to begin with and they figured out, y'all were trucking through and they gave y'all little stores, and y'all were trucking through, they realized y'all were a problem and been trying to get rid of y'all asses since. And then they thought emulating these people, white people, you know, because they kind of look alike, whatever, was gonna let them slide through. And it ain't gonna work. Because you can be as white as you want to be. You ain't white. It's the truth. It's the truth. Wait, who got raptured today? I can't even keep a straight face. Who got raptured today? Mm-hmm. She said the world is crazy. That's going to get any better. So brace yourself. Hey, DC. All right, y'all. So I'm about to get out of here. Like I said, I just wanted to come in here because the delusion of inclusion is gonna fuck these people bad, and they're literally going to have nobody, and it's gonna be crazy. China gonna send them boats and cars to come pick them up though, so it's not like they going, but this country, when they start talking, they gonna, because they can't, they couldn't start with the Asians, they couldn't start with that. They had to start with the Mexicans and then start working their way up the pipeline. Really and truly, shit. Even up until that time, when they were out here trying to get rid of the Asians, when the West Coast was still damn near Mexico. So, like, like, you know, still here. She said, "We all still here." Yep, we are. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. See y'all next time.